demanding services. And this is where my next question comes in. How did they specifically settle on 300 gigabytes? We chose 300 gigabytes because it is an extraordinarily large amount of data. About 98% of our customers don't consume that much data in a month. To give you some context, our customers' median monthly data use is about 18 gigabytes. So besides noticing the inherent problems with trying to represent 22 million customers with one median number, I think that the second problem with this response is that most of the people watching this program are probably going to think that 300 gigabytes of data is not an extraordinarily large amount of data. And the reason why is video games. This is where video games come in. The Xbox One and PlayStation 4 both come equipped with hardware for streaming videos of games online as they are being played. The PS4 will soon handle backwards compatibility by streaming you a video of you playing games remotely. And compared to your basic internet browsing, those high-resolution video files are very, very large files, and they can quickly fill up that cap. And streaming them to you fast enough for you to comfortably play games through them just increases the size of that data even further. So in order to test whether or not 300 gigabytes actually is an extraordinarily large amount of data, I downloaded a free bandwidth meter and left a few of those video programs running. Here's what I found out. An hour of 720p Netflix footage is just under 1 gigabyte. An hour of 720p Twitch gameplay is just under 2 gigabytes. But the mother load comes from an hour of playing games through video streaming, which on OnLive takes up a whopping 7 gigabytes. And this is pretty similar to what you can expect the PlayStation service to look like. If you're gonna rely on a streaming service to play games, you're gonna have to ration that stuff off pretty hard. But these next-gen consoles encourage you to do that stuff on a daily basis. And while those first two numbers might sound low, remember that the data cap is totaled up for the entire household that's using that internet. One person probably isn't going to watch hundreds of hours of Netflix by themselves, but when you divide that up between a household of 4 people, you might get an idea of just how possible it is to run an overage charge on this stuff. And in the future, when 4K resolutions become more normal, those file sizes are going to increase 4 times. And actually a bigger reason why I think 300 gigabytes is not that much is because game downloads are getting really, really big these days. Call of Duty Ghosts is 37 gigabytes. Killzone Shadowfall is 37 gigabytes. And if those games are only going to be getting bigger as the next generation rolls on, then we shouldn't be putting up with such a low precedent right now. After all these years of cutting corners to fit games on DVDs, developers now have to deal with bandwidth caps. They decrease the size of games while also discouraging customers from spending time and money on their product. They limit the growth of digital distribution, they limit the customer's buying power, and they limit the potential that gaming has to grow online. And just one of the many reasons why the original design for the Xbox One got so much backlash is because of these bandwidth caps themselves. Microsoft has changed their entire plans for a whole generation because people were not comfortable with the idea of relying on a device that could so easily fill up their cap. For a full household of people who all enjoy the internet, 300 gigabytes is oftentimes not going to be enough. So back in that email, it then explains that this data cap is applied to all pricing tiers of their residential services, but it does voice some reluctance in the plan. The writer refers to it as a pilot program, and it also claims that as the internet evolves, so will Comcast's policies. So maybe that means they're open to raising that cap later on. But the idea of 300 gigabytes being fair is just underestimating their legitimate customers. Even if they're a minority of customers, they are still legitimate customers. A couple of roommates who do a lot of streaming, and video games is a hobby that leads you into doing a lot of streaming, are going to have trouble using those services and also downloading those very big games. As I mentioned above, only about 2% of our customers today consume more than 300 gigabytes of data in a single month. So we think this pilot approach is a fair one. It enables those who want to use more data the option to do so. No, it doesn't. That's wrong. It gives Comcast the option of charging people for more data. If you want to pay the advertised amount for internet that you signed up for, you can't go over this cap. Your usage of their service is limited, and that's not an option for us customers. We just have to deal with it. It's a hidden charge. It's also worth noting that we're piloting another program for very light data users, which we define as consuming less than 5 gigabytes per month. If they want to opt in, then they can save $5 per month off their bill. I wonder if he knows that right now there are services in the UK that are similar that cost less than $5 a month. That sounds crazy to Americans, but people in the UK and much of Europe have way cheaper internet. The average broadband